liberty in the fires of hope and prayer. With boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to sail through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
God was a friend, I will like it like that. Coming on the life like snaking out the grass. One with your thickness in the right body. One with your thickness in the right body. God was a friend, I will like it like that. Coming on the life like snaking out the grass. One with your thickness in the right body.
Well, I don't have time to beef. Lucky for you, my friend. I in a good spirit. I drink in a good spirits. The vibes right up to the limits. So don't hold me down, don't fight me down. Yeah. Good spirit. I drink in a good spirits. The vibes ain't cast in a minute. So don't hold me down, don't fight me down. Yeah. My friend and them couldn't tell you about me. Good people, it's good people. We only want love and we circle. Yeah. My family couldn't tell you about me. Good people, it's good people. We only want love. Well, every man make their choices. I said we make sacrifices. We block out the noises. We have to forget the voices. One day we gon' make it. We don't have to fake it. I give you my best. I give you the chain off my neck. I give you my love and respect. But now hear the story. Is you vex with me? Like I do you something. Like I do you something. When I hear the shout now, is you vex with me? Like I do the wrong thing. Like I do you something. Oh, it's a good thing. I in a good spirit. I drink in a good spirits. The vibes right up to the limits. So don't hold me down, don't fight me down. Yeah. Good spirit. I drink in a good spirits. The vibes ain't cast in a minute. So don't hold me down, don't fight me down. Yeah.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show, bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
My family could I tell you,
Bringing you a good spirit.
it's good people.
Good people, and we only and love up inside here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to it. Good to have you here. And if you're wondering where here is, it is New Era TT Radio. The pride and joy of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course the wider world, wherever you may be, right here at home, up and down the Eastern Caribbean, anywhere on the planet right about now. We're glad to have you, right? Sir Charles is me. I'm here with you, and of course this is your Get Up and Go, the breakfast show.
Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
Good morning, good morning.
Yeah, you, Richard.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, you.
And good morning to our listeners and viewers across the planet, wherever you are. And welcome to the breakfast show this Monday morning. Monday's always a difficult day. It's still a difficult day. Sometimes to get up on a Monday morning to face the world. And Monday morning blues is a very real thing. But it is Monday morning, and of course, get up. And we are helping you to get up on the breakfast show this morning. And of course, I'll pass it to good morning to my hosts, Wendell and Sir Charles, on the breakfast show.
Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Sir Charles. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. It's an absolutely beautiful Monday morning. We're here. We're happy to be in the land of the living. Condolences to those who would have lost their lives over the last few days. And happy birthday to those celebrating birthdays today, including our very own Gail Ann Parrott.
All right. You remembered.
I remember. Half again. I ain't taking no more book.
Good morning and happy birthday, Gail Ann.
Happy birthday, darling Gail Ann. I hope you're in St. James today. You could pass on. I'll be down there.
Good morning, Princess.
Let me give the other birthday greetings, and then we'll do a quick happy birthday song for Gail Ann. She deserves it, huh?
Of course she does.
Right. So happy birthday also to my nephew Jazzy Blaze, Jazzy Christopher. He's celebrating his birthday today. He always performing with Gail Ann on the reggae boat ride and so on. Happy birthday to Jackie Lazarus. She's the chairman of Diego Martin West constituency. Denise Sawyerfat Angus out there in Tobago, and Dennis Ramdeen, who really was good to us over the election season too.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Dennis, and happy birthday to Denise. So
we have to sing for all of them, but ostensibly for Gail Ann, right?
Yeah.
Ready?
Gail Ann is special. 3, 4. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gail Ann. Happy birthday to you. I'm trying to sync with you, but I'm not sure.
No, I slowing down to keep up with you.
No, I specifically slowed down trying to keep with you.
No, you all cannot sync. You all are a millisecond off. All you can understand that. You will never sync. All you have to,
never sync. Is that what Sir Charles said? So I'm going to do the birthday song from now because you can't sing to save your life.
Yeah, what you have to do is probably...
As a competition, we could alternate it.
Right, we'll alternate it. And people will vote on who sings the better birthday song.
Yeah.
All that could work. Either that or they come together and record it and just play it back.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea.
That's another version. Yes.
Yeah.
But happy birthday again. Happy birthday.
What? So what's good news this morning?
Right. Well, I just, people started, my sister sent me this video, but of course I'm also seeing it also on social media. anything to do with Trinidad and how people appreciate Trinidad, sometimes more than Trinidadians themselves. So that's going to be our good news for today.
Trinidad and Tobago, you must try these iconic foods.
It's hard to narrow down because everything here is delicious, but whenever I come, these are must for me. Starting with Trinidad's most beloved street food, doubles, invented here in 1936 by Muslim Indians. These are a staple all over Trinidad, but the best doubles I've ever had in my life were right here at Sauce on the Avenue. These guys have the doubles production down to a T, and you can see why they're called sauce. The bara is so thin and light, and you can taste all the ingredients. Next, did you know there's a famous lobster roti on the island? I've been coming to the Roti Cafe even before it blew up on social media because the roti skin is so soft it's like butter. I mean, just look at the big chunks of lobster in this.
Where do I even go?
You can't go wrong with anything here, but the lobster roti is so unique. Next, did you even go to Trinidad if you didn't go to Maracas Bay? And did you even go to Maracas Bay if you didn't have bacon shark? Don't waste your time elsewhere. Beeline right to Richard's, get your bacon shark, and load it up with all the condiments and sauces your heart desires. Last, electrolytes are key, so get yourself a fresh coconut, preferably from a coconut man around the savannah. Don't throw it away once you've had that water. Get it opened up and eat that jelly on the inside. Tell me your iconic Trini foods in the comments and follow for part 2.
So a little bit of Trini food, as seen through the eyes of somebody who doesn't live here. And
I can imagine how David wears mouth watering when he's seen all of that there.
Oh, please.
He's a foodie,
I know, but you're accustomed.
Yeah.
You're accustomed to all of that. So that was our good news.
I've never had that lobster roti kind of thing. I must probably go and check that out.
I can't eat lobster. Eat lobster.
Lobster's not
shrimp,
something I would eat.
Tongues. No. It's not. You neither, Richard? You're allergic to that too?
Shell seafood doesn't sit well with me.
Oh my word.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't eat.
I can handle some shrimp, but not too much. But lobster, I've had lobster before, so that's how I know.
I can't even have.
I'm not even guessing. I know.
Yeah, no, I good with the seafood. Of all the things there, the coconut water for sure, and the bacon shark. I haven't had that in a long time either.
I haven't done that in a while. I haven't even been to Maracas in a while. The last time I was up there, I went to Las Cuevas, and we stopped off by Sam's. Was it? It's Sam's.
Richard's.
Is it Sam's or Uncle Sam's?
Oh,
yeah.
Uncle Sam's. Yeah. Uncle Sam's.
Richard had passed by all the bars.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam's is very popular for its bacon shark too.
It is.
Yeah. Uncle Sam's is popular. Some people, I'm sure in the comment section, some people will say Uncle Sam's is where they would go. Or better.
Okay.
Those of you in the comment section, which is the best place on Maracas Bay for bacon shark? Is it Uncle Sam's, in your opinion? I'm sure some of them will vote in on it.
I can't help with that.
Some of them will vote in it. So that's it for our good news. And this is the point at which we now go to our comment section and greet people in the comment section.
Yeah.
Join us early o'clock.
All right. Miguel Gonzalez jumped in at 2:28 a.m. Good morning, sir. Susan Jessup also says good morning, and she's wishing Galen a happy birthday from Susan, Suzette, and Mrs. Gemma. Erica Charles, blessings, thank God for life, love to all. Have a wonderful, safe week. Boy Bidesi from Debe. Marlon Motley, good morning, guys, and to everyone listening. Marcia Rock also says good morning. Ozzy Molino, Patricia Defoe, Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona. Slick Money Grip, Robert Taylor, Steph says good morning. Carol Guevara, blessed and wonderful Monday morning. Sorry. Sherwin Kerr, have a wonderful day, guys. And Alice Sahab from San Fernando says good morning. Rena Buru Jennings, sorry, also felt that earthquake, and she said there were earthquakes again this morning. Happy morning, everyone, from Katian Charles. Merle's Kitchen, good morning, guys. Where is she from? Oshawa in Canada.
Good morning, Merle's. Good morning, Merle's Kitchen.
Amen. Mrs. R, good morning all. Larry Charles, that's the snow cone man wrong the savannah, all there by QRC. Wonderful individual. Wayne Ramsey from Fort Lauderdale, Gavin Frank from Cocorite, Maureen Dilchan Maharaj, Valerie Mendoza, I think that's the lady from Dabadi, not so, Miss Dabadi, yeah? Annie Bunyan, hi Annie, morning.
Morning, Annie.
Ambrose Blah from New York, Lambert Bruce, Joyce Phillip, Jerry Dollaby from, where Jerry from? Jerry where from? Marcus, I think, and Jerry at St. Joseph Mantuel. Or Yaba Rima, look. Trinidad Margot, happy birthday, Gaylan from Maureen. Doreen Pierce says good morning. Steph says, okay, yeah, all right, Steph. We'll charge you with the responsibility of doing that recording. David Ware's Patsy's Bacon Shark is my favorite, Richard. David Ware's,
okay.
And that's a real foodie man.
That's a David Ware's approved, so you had to try Patsy's.
Yeah. And he said the bacon shrimp is his wife's favorite. Okay. All right. Good morning from Cheryl and himself. Champion of Democracy, Child of God, good morning. Trini Gets Fit, morning. Ila Rizan says good morning. Nicholas Link, happy birthday to Mrs. Regis from Annie Bunyan. Is it Camille Robinson Regis?
Apparently, yeah, it will have to be Camille Robinson Regis. Today's her birthday too.
All right.
So happy birthday. Same day as Gaylan then.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Yeah, so happy birthday, Mrs. Robinson Regis.
Mrs. Robinson Regis, all right. Terrence Jack says good morning. Chris Tuse also says happy birthday, Gaylan, and good morning. The Allen Projects, hi fellas in the room, you should not be eating. Okay. The Allen, sorry, Beauty Culture, and Valerie confirms it is her from Dabadi, and Annie confirms it is Mrs. Robinson. All right. So J97, good morning, guys. All right. So that's all our greetings thus far. I'm sure a lot more will come in during the course of the morning. Feel free to join the chat at any point in time. Just be respectful. You understand? And we're happy to have you here. Look at our numbers. Our numbers are just going out through the roof now. Huh? So we are so happy to have you here. All right. I have a little rant to make, right? I have several topics to cover in this little one rant. But I was prior to the general elections, I used to be commenting how people have gotten so very hateful all of a sudden in Trinidad and Tobago. Everything is so intense and so divisive, and it hasn't changed. The general elections have come and gone, and new parties in power, and it hasn't changed, So it's almost everything you say now or do now is being tainted with a political brush. So yesterday, I don't know if you heard it, Richard. I was at home around quarter to maybe 5:45 in the morning, and I heard this volley of gunshots coming from east of me. And I've never heard anything like it. And I say, my Lord, what is this about? So I posted that. Would you believe people made that political? Would you believe that? Yeah. And people who I thought had probably more sense to make the comment that there's a PNM hotspot. I said, what stupidness? I removed the comment because I'm not going to tolerate no stupidness on my Facebook page. I am in control of it. And people feel you're posting these things because a different. No, nothing. Those things haven't changed. I don't know if people realize things have gotten so endemic in this country that a change of government won't change anything and everything just right away. It's going to continue for a while. I wish this new government the best in terms of reversing those trends, but I don't know that they will be successful, and I won't blame them. And I kept saying this over the years. Ministers of national security, I will never put blame on them for what is happening, because we as a country, we as a people have gotten so caught up in all this hate and divisiveness that no government can fix that. You have to fix yourself. You understand? You ought to be able to fix yourself. And I'm saying, with all this stress, and I'm telling all right? I was good not being on radio, For them few months I wasn't on radio. I was real good, I'm happy that we are back on radio. We are happy that you have brought us back on radio. You, the listeners, and Sir Charles with a vision have brought us back on radio. But I don't know how much of this craziness I could take, How much of this divisiveness and this hate and these negativity that I could take, and it had nothing to do with a change of government. Because as I say, I was expressing this even before. You understand? But we have to fix it. There are people with real problems in this life. And we don't take our main host, our co-host, the man who have us here today, had a real issue yesterday. I mean, I wouldn't say it on radio unless he wants to say it. But we have real problems. And we have people who they're just picking away at one another, hating on one another, dividing one another. When all we could do is express thanks and gratefulness. There are too many ungrateful people in this world. Let us be just kind to one another, say something good to one another instead of all this back and forth hate. And I'm going to deal with people one of these mornings. I ain't going to deal with them today, but I will deal with them one of these mornings.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's in fashion in some circles to put up hateful and the most disgusting comments on anything. Anything that anybody posts up, it's always somebody finds some negative, disgusting angle. I don't know if their hope is to go viral. That's the only thing I can think of. Is that your hope, that you're so hateful and disgusting that you will go viral from whatever it is that you say? It's pathetic and just a waste of your time. A waste of your time. And that's why when all sorts of bacchanal is happening in Trinidad sometimes, and all kind of confusion and bacchanal and fights, that doesn't come up in my stream. Because my stream, generally, I keep it kind of positive on what I click on.
Right.
So, but I mean, sometimes you can't help it. Something is so viral, it still comes up because it recognizes you in the Caribbean, it recognizes you in Trinidad, so it will still push it to you. But plenty of times, I have to go to other people and I say, what bacchanal happened yesterday? Anything I need to know about? Because sometimes you need to know about it if you're on morning radio.
Yes.
But sometimes I have to ask, I say, what happened? Is there something I need to know about? And if it's not something I need to know about, I don't need to know about it. But it doesn't come up in my feed. Because I try to keep it positive and I try to keep it, only in things that I'm interested in terms of, and a lot of different things, in the performing arts and whatever it is I follow. But sometimes you can't help it. You come and you read the comments and you say, why are people so disgusting as humans?
Yeah.
Why? And and my mind always goes back to that poll that they did of 80 and 90-year-old people, and they asked them what is the one thing they can't, as they grow older, what is the one thing that they can't stand? And they say humans.
Yeah.
As they get older, it's like they could do without.
You just want to be away from people, and that's how I feel. And
what is that? That is such a horrible indictment on we as human beings and how we interact and behave with each other. Why as the world has progressed technologically and progressed from access to education across the planet, why did that feed into people being more hateful and less empathetic and stuff? How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know, Richard. I wish I could explain it, but I don't know. Sometimes I just feel not to be around people. I mean, the only people I'm around continuously now is my family. But I just feel even not to be around them. You know what I mean? I just feel to be by myself. And I got a call. And, generally, I don't answer calls that I don't know, especially on a weekend, right? If you send me a long video or a long message, there's a good chance I will open it but not listen to it or not watch it. There's a good chance. And I'm talking across the board, right? So yesterday I was just about in my vehicle going to, I had to eat Mother's Day. I went and spent the day with my sisters and them down the mountain. So as I jump in my vehicle, because the vehicle captures the call came through and I answered it. Now it was a foreign number. I didn't know the number at all. And if I was not in my vehicle, I would not have answered that call. Yeah. But I was in my vehicle and I answered that call. And that call lifted my spirits yesterday. It was from somebody who never called me before, but called our radio program in its previous dispensation. I saw the name Amral Khan came up. And when the person called, I said hello, and the person said, when I didn't recognize his voice, and I immediately recognized it as Mr. LA, the caller who calls us from LA.
Right.
He called me yesterday, and we had a nice chat, and he always lifted my spirits when he called me back then. And he lifted my spirits yesterday. So to Mr. Amral Khan, better known as LA, thank you. He said he got my number from Steve. And thank you for calling me and reaching. That lifted my spirits yesterday. And that is why we are on this radio show still. Doing this just for love, people. In case you don't know. We're doing this just for the love of it. Just for the love of you all. You understand? Richard getting up 6 o'clock every morning to start this show just because he loves you all.
And religiously doing it too. Normally we don't get Richard out on a Monday after a play.
Nope. After a play, nope. I do not.
And not just coming out, coming from the play and getting things done for today.
And producing a whole show for you all. The start, all the clips you see and all the endings, everything, the news is Richard Ragubasi at work, morning, noon, and night, harassing me and Charles all over the day and morning to get things done. And he doing it for love.
Yeah.
You understand?
Doing it for love. It brings you joy. And it's so important, that whole thing of empathy and joy. And I'm walking down the road this morning to get newspapers, and sometimes you could be critical of Trinidad, or God, like a pothole, whatever. No, I didn't see a pothole. I'm just saying. But sometimes you could be hypercritical of Trinidad. And I'm walking down the road and I say, but it's such a beautiful morning. You're hearing the birds, people passing, you saying good morning. I mean, this is like 5:30 in the morning, and people saying good morning, and I say good morning as you're passing. And people friendly, people smiling, a man washing in front of his place who sells breakfast, and I'm saying, sometimes we just don't appreciate what we have generally in the Caribbean, vis-a-vis what is going on in other parts of the world, and the hate and despair that people sometimes feel. I'm not saying that you can't be despairing wherever you are on the planet, but there is a lot to be thankful for living in the Caribbean and living in Trinidad and Tobago. There's a lot to be thankful for. I mean, I know a lot of times we are hypercritical, but we're hypercritical sometimes, I think, because we want it to get better. We want it to be perfect in whatever perfect is in our minds. And sometimes there are things to be criticized in getting it better. But there are also things to be appreciated.
Yeah. And we're going to do it here on a morning,
Yeah.
We are going to highlight issues here on a morning, to ensure that you all are informed, Because, for instance, there was a earthquake last. I didn't feel it at all. I was dropping off my sister and my cousin.
Yeah.
And apparently it happened just as I drove off again, because I had stopped to drop off my cousin. Because she said she felt it when she came out of the vehicle. But I didn't feel it. You understand? And apparently everybody felt it all over the place.
I didn't feel it. But here I was on stage. And of course, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the droves of people who came to Cipriani College over the weekend to see Married and Mischievous. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, we just had wonderful audiences over the weekend. Again, our second weekend in Cipriani College, and people came out for Mother's Day too and brought their mothers. Well, Annie was the one who came yesterday too. I saw Annie last night. And Bernadette Brown came last night too. So she came backstage after and was hanging for a while. And while we were on stage, it was kind of one of those scenes that has a certain level of emotional intensity in it. And all of a sudden, I heard the audience murmuring. Some of the audience was murmuring. But you're on stage and you're into what you're doing as an actor. But part of my brain was, why are they murmuring? Because there is nothing at this point to murmur about. Yeah, so I was a little confused. I said, did somebody do something in the audience? Did somebody move or fall down? Or, your brain starts to go part of your brain because the rest of your brain is focused on what you're doing on stage. It's one of those kind of things that actors do, that you could still kind of be aware, but you're still in it. But then you dismissed it and you went on and went on. It's only when we came off stage, we heard, oh, there was an earthquake and people, and that's what they were murmuring about.
So nobody got up?
Nobody got up. No, nobody got up. They can't get up. It's Married and Mischievous when they'll... Married and Mischievous. Earthquake, Married and Mischievous. Married and Mischievous when yes.
Unless things start to fall down all over the place, nobody ain't going nowhere. They're taking the chip and they're watching around.
And even though people may have felt it, there was nothing happening because there's a bar on stage. The bottles didn't rattle. Because if that was happening, you'd be aware.
You'd be aware,
yes. Was rattling. And we'd have to bring the earthquake into the play because as actors, you'd have to bring it in and say, wait, that's an earthquake. And you bring it in seamlessly as part of the play. And that's what you would do. And especially if you have experienced actors on stage at that point, and there were experienced actors on stage at that point, but we just didn't feel it, you know.
Well,
but
unless it happened when Carl was doing his shenanigans in the back with the wife.
No, it was way after that. That's a different kind of earthquake. But so Married and Mischievous, which was more powerful than the earthquake because nobody moved, is now coming to Queen's Hall. Finally, we are coming into Port of Spain. Finally, on the 24th and 25th of May. So 24th, Saturday, the 24th of May at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, the 25th at 6:30 p.m. And tickets are on sale from tomorrow. And I think from today at Queen's Hall and from tomorrow at all the usual outlets. Get your tickets early. I mean, we had a fantastic time. Quite a few actors. The actors came last night. And
I want to tell you this.
They had a great
I think I told you this before, right? I think I told you this already when you re-entered. The theater was missing you, you know, as an actor. You stayed out of acting for too long. As soon as you came back into acting, you understand? It has made a difference to your plays.
Well, you know, people, I suppose some people like to. Thank you, Wendell, but you've told me this before. But thank you.
But have I told you that before?
You did.
Yes.
You know, but there's so many, like this team, I think is a great, awesome team in Married and Mischievous. It's great casting. Sometimes you just have to get casting right. And this play is just great casting. And I mean, the audiences have just been lapping it up. And I mean, there were a lot of younger actors who came to the show last night. And they were just blown away and like, wow. And they came backstage after, you know. So, you know, it's such a wonderful experience. And it's a wonderful experience in working with an ensemble where the chemistry is so strong between all of the actors. It's wonderful. And it translates to an audience.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
it does.
Carl and Craig, they've come into their own, because they've acted in roles before, but with not so much vocalization, not so much lyrics, but they really came into their own in this play.
Yeah. So it was fun. So that is a good, thanks for that. That's a good talking point for Married and Mischievous. Even an earthquake couldn't get people to move. They sit down there and they say, nah, we are moving out the hell with our earthquake.
Yes, and he is a super actor. He is a super actor, and I hope he's rewarded for it before the bell. You know, I made a bet the other day. Remember, I made a bet since last year that I bet all the UNC members go be in Independence Day 2025, the year the election. Remember that? Thinking the election is after independence. Well, guess what happened? They will all be, I win my bet, they will all be there. Because they're the government.
Yeah, well, they're the government,
Yeah. But it's amazing.
And I would want to believe under Penelope Beckles-Robinson that the opposition will turn up.
True.
Yeah, she's the kind that will make sure that, you know, look, this is beyond the party. This is about patriotism for the country and stuff like that. But talking about the PNM, there's lots to talk about the PNM. It's a bacchanal. I have never seen so much bacchanal emanating from the PNM. So, in the show today, in the next hour, we have Robert Le Hunte weighing in on the issue, some of the internal wranglings. I saw so many different articles. One of the articles that I read from Ken Ali, I think it was, said that on the night of the election, senior members of the People's National Movement were celebrating the loss.
What do you mean, drinking champagne?
Well, I don't know if it's champagne or Prosecco, Pink Moscato, all from Rumbox.
Pink Moscato, the $40 one? No, man, Richard.
When the sales went up?
Maybe it was from Rumbox. Maybe it was from Rumbox. Because they were celebrating drinking the loss. And people might be like, what? Because I was like, what? What you mean celebrating the loss? And reading the article, I think it's Ken Ali. I hope I'm not quoting the name wrong.
He writes for the Mirror, I think. Jack Warner.
Yes, and I'm saying that they were celebrating
Sunshine.
Because they felt that the loss was the only way to get rid of Dr. Rowley. And I'm like, what?
You know,
I said Dr. Rowley had such a stranglehold on the PNM. And I'm reading the article with my eyes wide, and I said, all of this bacchanal, not to mention, this came after Amory Brown decided to quote, allegedly, Kendrick Lamar in one of his praises to the opposition leader that Dr. Rowley took offense to and put up another post berating in a way saying, oh, like all the chickens coming home to roost, I'm putting it politely. You know, oh, now you're finally seeing where everybody stands. Because, and Dr. Amory Brown saying, no, I was just quoting Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, please. I didn't believe him one. I didn't believe that for 1 minute.
I was like, oh my God, I can't get enough of this soap opera. it was too much.
Well, then Robert Le Hunte weighed into Dr. Rowley. I say, wait, what is this going on here?
So Robert Le Hunte is on in the next hour, so you'll be hearing it directly from him and what he thought. And obviously, Wendell, you know, Dr. Rowley had a particular style. And many times people have complained, and you remember when Patrick Madden said what he had to say about Dr. Rowley. And I always remember there is a picture that is forever in my mind when I think of what you all have, those screenings when you're going up to, what do you call it again?
Screening.
Well, the screenings when you go to, if you're selected. Not the selections, about in 2020. When they had the elections, and there was a picture that, and the photographer for, I think it was the Express or the Newsday, I can't remember which one, captured this picture of people sitting outside waiting to go into the screening room and Dr. Rowley passing. And these are big grown men waiting to be screened. But somehow that picture captured the essence of schoolboys waiting to see the principal. And I think I talked about it.
Yes.
I think I talked about it on the show at that time in its previous reiteration, in its previous, you know, and thing. And I'm like, and that picture to me captured it, that they were all like in awe, and this is the master, and this is the principal going striding into the office, and we are the little boys. And I brought it to your attention.
But that's what
and I said, Wendell, what is that? Look at that picture, look how it looks.
But that's what it is, Richard.
Well, in a sense, that's what it's kind of what you're hearing coming out from I don't want to say implosion, but that's what we put on the thumbnail this morning, is the PNM imploding. Because never have you seen, you know, they like to say we are so disciplined and we are resilient, you know, the usual terms and all, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, resilient, and we will survive this and that. But people really like to say what's going on behind the scenes. And the PNM is excellent at having that curtain that you don't see what's going on behind the scenes.
Every now and then the curtain blows, eh?
Yeah, but now and then the curtain blows. But this time it then blows, somebody tie it up.
They put what they call the cord. I remember the name. Wife used to give. What's the name? The cord. They have a cord that's tied to it. It's not valance. Valance is the thing on top the curtain, right?
Yeah, but the
what's the thing they tie the curtain with?
I don't know.
Annie or some woman on the chat must know. What's the thing they tie the curtain with?
Yeah, but when you see,
have a name.
But that, you see that tie or that curtain hitch up. It hitch up. It's like if the PNM was a woman, it's like a woman in for a fight on Baccarat, and she hitch up her dress and tuck it. So we see, oh good, we can see now.
Up inside the bloomers. A tassel.
We can see all the Baccarat happening in the PNM. So it's interesting for radio, but it's also interesting from, I suppose, a political analyst point of view, looking at what's going on and how are they going to navigate, and they will navigate it, I'm sure. But still, it's interesting because you don't usually get that view.
Well, what the PNM needs to do, and if I was them, if I had a voice, because I don't have a voice anymore. My voice is only on radio. I would just move post haste an internal election, and get positions filled, and
solve it.
Don't be appointing people to positions and thing. Go to a convention, get positions filled via the one man, one vote system. I know Brian Manning is suggesting to go back to the delegate. I don't know that could happen now. But yeah, just go and get positions filled and let the party move on.
Yeah, I don't think that delegate system will be a popular sell.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think so. But anyway, let me just get to the daily newspapers, and then we'll get to some of your calls before we get to our poll this morning. So I'll try to go through this as fast as possible. And you could start looking through some of the comments and see what people are saying right there.
Yes.
So the Daily Express for this morning: SSA gun probe still on. DCP Martin sniper rifle investigation ongoing, although case against top cop is closed, and that's part of the news. That case against Earl Christopher has gone nowhere. The DPP has spoken and said not enough evidence. Forget it.
She is going to sue.
Well, obviously. Teen footballer fights for life after shooting. That's one of the sub-headlines on the Daily Express this morning. And the main picture is that members of the Dragon Boys TASA group perform on Saturday night in the Republic Bank-sponsored TASA TAL competition. On the back page, of course, is more news with the Daily Express. Keisha Cole falls short, but she sang 3 songs. The Pongan Po Keisha.
She said she get paid for 3 songs.
But she said she got paid for 3 songs.
Exactly.
So she got paid for 3 songs. She had nothing wrong.
Yeah, sing 3 songs. I would prefer those the artists tell me up front when they come out. Hi, good night. Hey,
I just paid for 3 songs. I'm going to play 4. Artist is not going to say that. Artist is not going to say, I can only get paid for 3 songs, so that's all I'm singing tonight. No.
Yeah, and this is number 1.
It's ingenious of a promoter to do something like that. It will make people feel that they're getting a show from the artist and just pay for 3 songs.
Well,
that's what happened. So anyway, so Keisha Cole, but that was something that went a little viral across the internet, at least in Trinidad, that Keisha Cole issue. Breakout performance. Legion skipper De Silva praises collective team effort in securing title. Shallow, CWI will win in court ball tampering case against Pumol Anderson, and Montagliani praises Edwards-led TTFA administration. So that's it for the front and back of the Daily Express. Moving on to the Newsday. So you could start calling 281-1315. We take some of your calls. 281-1315. Main headline: TT, a war zone for boys. Coach after second teen footballer shot in head. Isn't that tragic? Elder, PSC must reinstate Erla. And the main picture is that of generational love. Kathleen Aaron left her granddaughter Aurora Byron and her daughter Kian Cornwall were among dozens of families who spent Mother's Day relaxing at Palmis Park in San Fernando. It's a wonderful photograph, full of joy and happiness. And on the back page, TT coach elated, hails overall Caribbean talent. Legions take breakout T20 crown. So that's great news. And Romani edges Waldron in thrilling ECU 15K finish. And the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, front page, ball in Erla's court. Former Police Service Commission members warn of repercussions in collapsed Commissioner of Police case. Penny, no infighting in PNM. Oh God!
Penny, I would just say no comment.
And the 2 people standing
I would just say no comment.
2 people standing with things on behalf of the party.
Organizers eye legal options as R&B concert ends on sour note. And then the main pictures, United in Prayer. Of course, Catholics had a huge conference in the Oval this weekend. So that was huge. Catholics, they had a huge conference in the Oval this weekend. Okay. So they have devotees follow the motorcade procession through the streets of Superior during the feast day of Divina Pastora yesterday. So that's the main picture. But I know Catholics had a huge thing on Saturday, I think it was.
It was.
And TNT Legions breakout champ. So that's the headline. That sports headline was across all dailies. So that's it for our 3 dailies this morning in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Grant, if you're listening, you can't call my phone when I'm on the radio. You have to call the station, 281-1315. Okay, that's
I think we have a caller online.
We have a few callers.
It can't be Mr. Grant because he's calling my phone.
Yeah. So, good morning, caller.
Good morning. Welcome. Caller.
Hi, yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen. Norfolk, Virginia, Clinton Center. How you all doing today? See, it's so funny when you mention about the curtains being drawn aside and the cord being put on it. So to me, it reveals here that the PNM wasn't operating as the PNM for the past 10 years. They were operating as the RNM, Rowley's National Movement. And when I look at the night of after the elections, when you look at how Stuart Young stood beside him like a little boy, schoolboy, that's a very good analogy, Richard, that you made there with that picture you saw on a newspaper some years ago. And in closing, Brian Manning speaking nonsense about going to the delegate situation. This reminds me so much of Animal Farm and the Democrat Party in America, where all animals are equal, but some more than others. That's what delegates are. And if you neglect the base, you do it at your own demise. And that's how we ended up from Sleepy Joe to Laughing Hyena Harris. Thank you all, folks. Have a great day.
All right. And I got 3 messages about that tie. It was either the swag or a tie back or a tassel. Right?
Oh, for the curtain. For the
curtain.
Okay,
2 people said it's a tie back. 1 person said it's a tassel, and 1 person said it's a swag. All I know is a piece of cord. Sometimes it's a old socks.
All right, Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sir Charles. Good morning, Richard. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Valerie Mendoza.
I didn't know you was I was Mendoza. I thought it was another Valerie, you know. But when they got it right.
So you know, you remember campaigning never stopped since 2015, right? And racial overtones never stopped. So I don't think it will ever stop. Ever stop. Right? So Charles, there's a grocery close to where you live. I won't call your name, I'm not advertising for them because they're not paying all year. Not too far from you, right? You know where, right?
Yeah,
when you come down Goya Road, you go see about a minute away.
Yeah.
Your grocery. I went to that grocery last week. Imagine this, there were 2 cashiers alone because the rest of them closed off. And I waited after my next person because she was cashing. She was finishing up cashing. So I in line now. I sat up by my trolley, at the back of my trolley. This young man come, he and the next boy had 1 item in his hand. When the lady didn't cash, he just rested on the counter. I say, He didn't take him on, he cashed. This elderly man, the man in his 70s, like he was riding a motorbike because he had on a helmet. He rushed past me, because I started putting on my things on the counter. He rushed past me. I said, excuse me, I'm in the line, you know. Yeah, but I just see that boys going there. I only have 1 thing to cash. I said, yeah, but that's not the way.
Yeah.
Ask me and I will allow you. He said, what, all of that? I said, but that is not the way. So other people in the line say, but the shop asked the lady. He started grumble. And I say, see, that's why it's hard stripping us all the time, you know.
Yeah, but the cashier should have refused to cash him. That's what. The cashier, if the cashier cash him, they encouraging it.
You know what the man turned around and say? Yeah, you old idiot. You see that why you all lost? I said, there we go. I said, watch, you lucky I in a grocery here right now because I tell you everything what you want, you know. And I just leave. I just say, let me keep my cool because when people say certain things, they want to hear the next side of me, you know.
Ignore them.
Right? So I just let him go away. So that is what I mean. Imagine that. And a man of the same race as me and talking to her, I say, the lady say, how you know who you vote for? As if I voted at all.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I say, this is where it reached. Stupid, ignorant people. You know what I mean? So, as I say, I'm not taking on no comments I see on Facebook. It's overbearing now. It will never stop. I got to read some good things. Nothing like that.
Okay.
And listen to you all, of course.
Thank you.
So, you all have a good day. All right. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Val.
You know what somebody posted on that thing where I talk about the gunshots? Or what? You're only highlighting crime now to make the UNC look bad. I said, So where do you live in? I said, who even say that crime was committed from when you hear gunshots going off? I don't even know if a crime was committed. That's where people reaching?
No, that's stupid.
And that one
people talk about crime. People talk about crime all the time. Regardless of
what one posted, and I'm sure he's listening now. That is a PNM hotspot area. Well, I want to tell that person that the people who voted against the PNM in that area, stripped the amount of votes the PNM got. So in other words, PNM got less votes in that area. Even though they won the seat, PNM got less votes in that area than the people who voted against the PNM. Take that.
Any other calls, Sir Charles?
I had a couple of them and they just went off. So I'll see if anybody will come back.
Yeah, so we can still take some calls before we go to the morning poll. 281-1315, 281-1315. You can see the numbers drifting across the ticker tape below. 281-1315. We're taking your calls at this point.
Remember at one time.
Any comments to read in the comment section? And then because you could read some from people in the comment section.
Well, Lester Cragwell says the rebuilding of the PNM can't take place unless it distances itself from Rowley. The 100,000 want to return home, but Rowley is in the way. Ramlak, UNC had an 8.5 deficit. I don't know what that is about. Candice Pascal said, if I were Penny, I would say in my Dave Chappelle voice, I plead the fifth. Somebody called Charles Adderley, who's a new name. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, watching from Nassau, Bahamas. Outstanding stream broadcast. Thank you very much, Charles. And
hold on, let me interrupt you. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Richard. Good morning, Mr. Richard.
Good morning.
Mr. Richard. Morning.
Morning to you, caller.
Mr. Grant.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm happy you got through to the program because you know you've been calling my phone instead of this number.
Well, I know that because I wasn't getting the number up on the screen. Don't really look good. I apologize to you.
Good.
Yeah, good morning, sir. From the first morning I came on, I want to tell you, you was missing a tooth. But I still
I don't know. It's however it's showing on the TV. I don't know why it's showing like that.
I see Mr. Richard told you to fix your background and so you get back your tooth. Right?
All right.
Well, brother, you see when the election was going on here, I've seen it. With the election, we can't make sure and get up in time every morning to listen. I'm glad you are back on. I remember I told you that and they tell me you will be back on. So everything is good. I know what I was telling you the other day. I reached me 80.
You reached 80?
Oh.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
That's an achievement. That's an achievement.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
It's really a little problem with foot. But the party thing, I personally just watching things, as you say, move on with the internal election and let me get all the stupidness of this scene.
Yeah. That's the best way.
I still hold in my corner. I try to call my partner, family, to get a thing in order, and I tell him, look, let me get everybody together, pay up with dues, and really move forward.
All right, Mr. Grant.
You go get plenty different bacon and things. And consider Mr. Ali. I used to buy the sunshine and stop buying it through he because he was working for Jack. So anything he says against anti-PNM. Well, you know me, I buy my papers every day. So them looking to put things against the PRC. That's the kind of.
All right, Mr. Grant.
Have a good day, everybody.
All right.
Thank you very much.
We have one more call before we go to the poll, Richard.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, we good.
Morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Miss Sampson.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Wendell. Wendell, I wanted to call in this morning to find out if you all could have like a program to remove the hate, let people try some love or something. I had the opportunity of going to Tobago. They're on the boat. The lady said attention to say whatever she has to say. And people on the phone while the lady talking about the life jacket and stuff like that. Adults on the phone, they didn't hear attention, saying, but boy, look how this country coming to. On top of that, the last thing was for children supposed to be seated or with a parent. It had two children, one about 7 and one about 9. The conversation that was going on with those children, I would like to see the parents. They reap havoc, which meant I was sitting down for the whole trip. conversation till a guy was walking a baby and heard him, the little 7-year-old, talk something about bombing up, and he had to tell him, say, listen, there is a camera right there and they're going to take it today. At that age, I don't know, the country just have a hate, the disrespect. Nobody just don't care about anybody. Good God, on the board, they say, attention, put away your phone, sit down. They said to sit down, well, better the lady, they say stand up. Sit down until they say to stand up to come off the boat. I can't believe this is adult. We are lawless. You all need to carry some program to get the people in check. A little 5 minutes every day. You all have
all right, okay, no problem, Mr. Sampson.
Yeah, we'll do that. Morning, Hill and Maureen. And Tilan, trust me, just I tell it, I don't know where this is 2010 all over again, except probably at works. 2010 all over again. You understand? 2010 it was called it was called Patrick's National Movement. You remember that? PNM was called Patrick's National Movement. Right. This is 2010 all over again. The PNM ain't learning. Well, they did learn from 2010, and hopefully they'll learn again from 2025. But these are the things that will happen.
We have to get to our morning poll. What do you think should be our morning poll, Wendell? I mean, I just linked it to the saying, do you think the PNM is imploding?
Yes, we can answer.
So I suppose you can ask that. I just linked it to what our conversation is today with Robert Le Hunte.
Or we could ask, maybe, do you think the PNM can recover from this colossal loss?
No, but we asked something like that already.
We did, okay.
Yeah, but this is not about the loss. This is about the internal strife that seems to be showing from
You're just salivating, eh? You're just seeing all kind of plays coming up. So Charles, let's see.
Yay, having a good time this morning. All right, so the poll is.
I had a Kendrick Lamar song to quote, and I quote it right now.
You know, I wanted Sir Charles to play Black Stalin Bun them this morning, you know, but then I say, you know, something, I mean, maybe that's not appropriate.
That might be a very good song, Wendell. Don't worry, I can play that.
Our poll this morning, do you think the PNM is imploding because of all the internal things that are now coming to light? Yes or no? That's our poll this morning.
All right, so
a little bacchanalish kind of poll, but you know, we don't care. We do bacchanal sometimes on this morning show. So do you think the PNM is imploding?
Morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
So you on the floor this morning? You on the floor?
Who is this, Mrs. R?
Yes, this is Mrs. R. You know, I listen to you all morning. You on the floor.
No food for you today.
Morning, Mrs. R. What's your vote?
What was the question? Because, you know, I was waiting to heckle Richard, and then you all started to talk, and I didn't hear anything because I have to lower the other phone thing here. What's the question?
Is the PNM imploding?
Do you think that the PNM is imploding?
No.
All right. We have Joyce Phillips saying yes.
Thank you very much.
Arizan saying yes. Champion of Democracy, yes. Sabita BSA, yes. Julia S. Batiste, yes. Ronald Garcia, yes. Far Rockaway, yes. Maureen Dilchan Maharaj, yes. Boy Bidesi, yes. Slick Money Grip, yes. Alice Hart, no. Larry Charles, yes. Trini Gets Fit, no. Donna Ramlochan, no. Ronald Garcia didn't vote. Annie Bunyan, yes. Ambrose Blanc, no. Lester Cragwell, no. Diana Trinidad, no. Carol Guevara, no. Susan Jessup, yes. Marlon Motley, no. Those are our votes online thus far. I don't know if Sir Charles has
Sir Charles, you have any votes on WhatsApp?
Yeah, now can I pull it together here? First of all, Karen from Goodwood, Tobago says, good to have you guys back.
Morning, Karen.
Also, Karen, right? So, Blackpool says no. Pauline says yes. Sexy Red says yes. She was typing there. And that is it for now. Yeah, and the WhatsApp.
All right, so to give you 5 more before we go to the news. Miguel Gonzalez, no. Cheryl M, no. Andre Reno, yes. Brennan Smith, Beefy, yes. Gregory Boyer, yes. David Wares, no. Beauty Culture, no. All right, so we go to the 7 o'clock news, people. When we come back, we'll finish the poll and then we'll have Mr. Implosion himself.
Robert Le Hunte is going to weigh in on, is the PNM imploding? 7 a.m. news is next with Amanda Mitchell.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is your news update for Monday, May 12th, 2025. I am Amanda Mitchell with New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has announced there is no evidence to charge suspended Police Commissioner Erla Harewood Christopher with any offense. DPP Roger Gaspard, SC, stated, "There is no realistic prospect of a conviction for the offense of misbehavior in public office or for any offense." Harewood Christopher was arrested in January and subsequently suspended by the Police Service Commission over allegations related to signing off on a firearms import license for 2 sniper rifles. With her term set to end on May 15th, the Commission must now decide whether to lift her suspension. High Court Justice Christopher Suchand is expected to deliver his ruling today in Harewood Christopher's constitutional claim against the Police Service Commission. In a significant development, the Cabinet has revoked the appointment of Arthur Barrington as Director of the Strategic Services Agency. A brief release from the Attorney General's office confirmed the revocation took effect on May 9th. Sources indicate that Deputy Director Roger McLean will act as Director for the next 3 months. Barrington, a former head of Special Branch, had only been appointed to the position on April 1st, following the departure of Anthony Phillips Spencer. Nationals of Trinidad and Tobago will now require a visa to travel to Ireland, effective today. Irish Minister for Justice Jim O'Callaghan announced the new requirements on Friday, noting that visa requirements are an effective screening measure to determine who can travel to Ireland. Limited transitional measures will be in place for those with existing travel arrangements before May 31st, under specific emergency circumstances. This follows the UK's March decision, requiring visas for Trinidad and Tobago nationals. Meanwhile, EU Ambassador Peter Cavendish has reminded citizens they can still freely visit Europe under the Schengen visa-free scheme, stating the EU has no visas, no duties, and no tariffs for its relations with Trinidad and Tobago. Police are investigating the murder of 25-year-old Israel Assing, who was found with a gunshot wound to the head in Arima on Saturday night. According to reports, residents of Hoyt Avenue and First Avenue heard explosions around 11 p.m. and discovered Assing's body inside an unfinished concrete structure. Officers from the Pinto police station responded to the scene, where the district medical officer pronounced him dead. A team from the Homicide Bureau Region 2 and the Special Evidence Recovery Unit is assisting with the investigation. You are listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In regional news, Guyana's Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo has responded to Trinidad and Tobago's interest in doing energy business with his country. Speaking at a news conference, Jagdeo explained Guyana's plans for its gas reserves, stating, "We need all of the gas there for our electricity generation and the fertilizer plant."
That right now, from the gas to energy project, there is no gas to supply to anyone. We need all of the gas there for power generation and the fertilizer plant. That there is a project that we have not approved as yet that is being explored between Fulcrum, Exxon, and the government of Guyana to develop the gas reserves, that they're exploring several options as to what to do with this gas.
He revealed that Guyana is exploring several options with Fulcrum LNG and ExxonMobil, including developing LNG for export, bringing gas onshore for power generation to sell to Brazil, or using the gas for industrialization in Guyana. Regarding Trinidad and Tobago's interest, Jagdeo said, "If TNT is interested, then the tripartite arrangement, ExxonMobil, Fulcrum LNG, and the government of Guyana would have to examine whether taking the gas to TNT outweighs those other options in terms of financial feasibility. Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal had previously indicated he would make direct contact with his counterparts in Grenada, Guyana, and Suriname regarding potential energy partnerships. That concludes your news update for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio and MNE TV. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The Mid-Morning Mix and Mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Men, women, tired of the invasive, painful old methods of testing prostate and breasts?
The Institute of Health and Fitness Clinic and Wellness Center offers comprehensive and non-invasive diagnostic testing, which indicates the nature and extent of diseases and tests your nutritional levels. Our quick testing can identify early signs of problems by evaluating many of the bodily functions, such as male and female sexual function, gastrointestinal function, liver function, kidney function, thyroid function, heart and brain function, and also cancer testing. Results are comparable with other medical lab tests without the use of needles or embarrassing specimen cups, and is pain-free. We also offer all natural treatments. Visit us now at number 79 St. Vincent Street, Tunapuna, or call 492-7397 or 289-6363.
Wake up with the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Rise and shine with Wendell Stevens and Richard Raghuvarsi, weekdays from 6 o'clock to 9 a.m. Start your day feeling good, energized, and informed as we tackle the biggest issues of the day, get you where you need to be on time, and keep you in the know about everything that matters. We bring you insightful discussions, expert analysis, and the latest updates so you're always ahead of the curve. Mornings matter. Your voice matters. And it all starts right here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio. The Net Radio Breakfast Show, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. Wake up informed and stay ahead.
Another day above ground, I see. I'm focusing on the positives because yesterday I was down. People do me wrong. What is love in me heart? When they try to take me for clown, I do them no wrong. Jaja have we back, and I shouting, oh Lord, I'm thankful, oh Lord, I'm thankful. It's you who give me health and strength. Oh Lord, I'm thankful. It's you give me the handful. Every day you're blessing me. Only it and back and on. It's not in the nature. Money in we pocket. This life I want love it. Only it and back and on. It's not in the nature. Food on the table. I good and I'm able to get jump up and wait. I'm thankful for life. To see another sunrise. But you want up in the air. All the stress on your mind. Put them problems aside. And give thanks, yeah, for another day. Don't forget to pray. And give thanks, yeah, for another day. Don't forget to pray. Another day above ground, I say, thank you, Father. I'm focusing on the positives. Cause yesterday I was down. Today I feel strong. Yes, His love in me heart. Dirty up my name around tongue. I do them no wrong. Jaja have we back. And I shouting, oh Lord, I'm thankful. Oh Lord, I'm thankful. It's you who give me health and strength.
Just got better.
Oh Lord, I'm thankful. It's you give me the handful. Every day I'm blessing me. Only it and back and on. It's not in the nature. Money in the pocket.
Oh, yes, we are very thankful, giving our thanks and praises for life. As we enter inside our number 2 of the New Era Breakfast Show right here. I'm so happy to be in your company, right? So, thank you very much for sticking around. Of course, we have our weather that is straight ahead.
Good morning again, Trinidad and Tobago. This is your weather update for Monday, the 12th of May, 2025 from New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Today, expect a sunny, hazy and breezy morning giving way to partly cloudy skies by midday, accompanied by a few light to moderate showers. There is also a 30% chance of isolated heavy showers or thunderstorms developing later in the day. Some cloudiness will persist overnight with a few showers, so keep that umbrella handy if you're planning evening activities. For our neighbours in the remainder of the Lesser Antilles, expect partly cloudy conditions with occasional showers and isolated thunderstorms. Temperature-wise, Trinidad can expect a maximum of 33 degrees Celsius today with a minimum of 24 degrees Celsius. In Tobago, the maximum will reach 32 degrees Celsius with a minimum of 25 degrees Celsius. With humidity factored in, the heat index will make it feel like 37 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 35 degrees Celsius in Tobago, so please take precautions to stay cool and hydrated throughout this hot day. Sea conditions are moderate with wave heights of 1.5 to 2 meters around Trinidad and Tobago and 2 to 2.5 meters elsewhere in open waters. In sheltered areas, expect waves below 1 meter. The sun rose this morning at 5:44 and will set at 6:20 this evening. For those planning maritime activities today, high tides in Port of Spain will occur at 3:24 this morning and 4:26 this afternoon, with low tides at 10:07 this morning and 9:57 tonight. In Scarborough, high tides will be at 2:56 this morning and 4 this afternoon, with low tides at 9:38 this morning and 9:23 tonight. This has been your weather update for today. Remember to stay cool during the sunny morning hours and be prepared for those afternoon showers and possible thunderstorms. From all of us at New Era TT Radio and M&E TV, have a wonderful start to your week. Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Trico Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
All right, so we are back on the Breakfast Show into our second hour. And of course, we'll have Robert Le Hunte in a little while at 7:15 joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning. I just want to give the poll results. I don't know if there are any more results to give me, Wendell, on our morning poll. And just in case you didn't know, our morning poll was, do you think that the PNM is imploding? Yes or no?
All right. We have some more, yes, Richard. We have Everton Pariage, who's also a new name, saying yes. Gavin, yes. I don't know what that means. He said Gavin, yes. I'm not sure. Ozzy Molino says no. All right, Everton Pariage eventually voted. He says yes. Wales. Well, you keep voting, Everton. What's going on with you? Carol Guevara says, okay, no, that's not relation to the vote. Steph says no. Scorpion Pepper says no. Sheppy65 says no. Terrence Roach says no. So those are the. So we had 1 yes and 4 no's after the news, right?
Yeah.
You got
So
that?
Charles, you have any?
And Camillus also says no.
All right, so I have Sean Ram says yes, Nikisha says no, and Anand says definitely yes.
I want to let people know, right? Because a lot of people have been private messaging me and messages on the board about Amanda Mitchell. Amanda and I are in discussions. We've met. We've spoken about maybe advancing our friendship. So back off. Well, you back
Lord
off.
have mercy.
Okay, just back off of Amanda, please.
That is worse than the implosion of the PNM.
Back off.
That is good protection, Mandel. That is good
All
protection.
of the sharks, back off.
Good protection.
Anyway, let me give the results. Our poll this morning. Do you think that the PNM is imploding? We had 44 people voting on the poll this morning. And you would think, well, how would this poll go? Well, 44 people voted on the poll. 21 of you said, no, you do not think that the PNM is imploding. And 23 of you said, yes, you do think it is imploding. So the majority by a oomph said yes. And of course, 21 said no, 23 said yes. It was pretty close. At one point, it was actually equal, straight down the line. And so obviously people have differing opinions on this issue. So I suppose there is no better time than that to bring in our guest for this morning in our Let's Talk segment. So good morning, Mr. Hunt. And thank you so much for joining us.
The man with the hand grenade, boy. The man with the hand grenade.
My God. Wendell, good morning, Richard, good morning, Wendell.
Good morning, Mr. Hunt.
I don't like that tag at all. I mean, I have no, please.
You know, we lighten it here. We lighten it here to make our guests feel good when we start.
Yes.
Because we're going into some serious discussions here.
And sure, no problem. Always willing to have a chat with you guys. You know that.
All right.
So I never refuse. You, both of you.
Well, maybe you could vote on our poll first. Do you think that the PNM is imploding?
So if I vote, the results will now be 45, right?
Yes.
And I definitely share the sentiments of our opposition leader that is not so. I think the PNM has lost an election. There are some people who are disappointed. I think the PNM is swiftly moving along within its constitution and its procedures to do what is needed and required. And I think within a very short order, that process will be completed. And the PNM, as has traditionally happened, will move on. This idea of imploding, imploding is a very strong word to use for the PNM, an organization that has been around in Trinidad and Tobago for this time. So the PNM has gone through this, and it will survive this as it will have survived a number of other times when they have lost the election.
But Mr. Le Hunte, we were saying earlier this morning, at least I was saying, that the PNM is very good in terms of its discipline and its resilience, certainly because you came back from 3 years ago in 1986 when Nara won. But it's very good at keeping the curtain down in what is happening behind the scenes in the PNM. Every now and then we get a look, but generally they're pretty good at keeping that under wraps. But this time around, you're seeing you're getting all sorts of stories coming out of it. You saw a public spat, basically, between Dr. Amory Brown and Dr. Rowley, in terms of Dr. Amory Brown alleging that he was quoting Kendrick Lamar in praising the attributes of the opposition leader and her resilience. And Dr. Rowley basically said, no, you weren't quoting Kendrick Lamar. You're already throwing words for me. And how everything is now coming to light. That's unusual for the People's National Movement. You also have an article, I think came out from Ken Ali, that seems to suggest that on the night of the election, there were several PNM people, high-level PNM people, celebrating the loss because they felt it was the only way to get rid of Dr. Rowley. So in terms of some of these messages coming forth from different media circles and what we saw play out before us, don't you think that is unusual for the PNM?
Well, it's unusual, I must say, for Ken. It's unusual for Mr. Ali to write that in a statement. Whether PNM people were celebrating or not, that's a personal matter between individuals. I mean, I've heard similar celebrations happened in 2010 when the PNM lost and it was felt that was the way to get Dr. Rowley back in. So what I'm saying, these acquisitions are not new. People make them after an election, right? So I'm not surprised about that. Yes, the last time it never made itself into mainstream media with Ken Ali. I don't know why and how it happened to get there. But you have a lot of these types of discussions during, as a party, a political party is losing and to win an election. That's what you set up to do. And losing your election is losing a big mandate. As for the article between Dr. Rowley and Avery Brown, criticism, Dr. Rowley is Dr. Rowley, and we all know Dr. Rowley's style, right? Dr. Rowley is Dr. Rowley. And I mean, I consider that a little bit unfortunate, but that too will pass because I think we all know the leadership style of Dr. Rowley, right? But other than that, I would think that yes, I would agree, as would be expected, that there are people within the PNM who are unhappy. There's blame sharing as to who was responsible. And I think that is expected. But I think what is important when you talk about the PNM is an organization, it's a structure, and the PNM is moving by virtue of the things that they are doing immediately to expand their leadership team so that we will have at least 5 people in the leadership. And they did that immediately. They called the General Council meeting, right? And a decision was taken with regard to the election. I could tell you, I passed into that office afterwards, not a member of General Council, and Chinua Allen and the 2 people who went up for chairmanship were sitting there lining for at least a good 2 hours afterwards, right? Enjoying each other's company and bartering and talking about the way forward for the PNM. So this infighting and including, I think it's taking it a little far.
But you, Mr. Le Hunte, were part of it. You were part of it. You were very critical of Dr. Rowley. So let's not pretend and tiptoe through the tulips here. You were very critical of Dr. Rowley and how Stuart Young ascended to the position when he was handed the baton, so to speak. No internal election was called, and there were some angry voices that surfaced, even though the PNM tried to keep it under wraps, and they quickly called a General Council meeting, I think it was, to get it under wraps, but there were dissenting voices, and you were one of the prominent voices at that time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, yes, I mean, but that does not mean that's how I am including. Does that mean that I agree, loyalty is a very, very important factor in an election. Loyalty, in an election, in a party, you have to have loyalty, but you can't have blind loyalty. Right? I felt at the point in time, and if you understand what I was saying, the Prime Minister made a decision or was taking a decision as it relates to installing a new Prime Minister. I never once complained or argued about who that person was, what it was. All I felt, and I still felt, that we were missing a golden opportunity to connect with our base, and to give the membership the opportunity to use this process to mobilize the membership and get whoever it is that wants to go, going out there and mobilizing and getting in touch with the membership and ensuring that the party is election ready.
Stick up in there, Mr. Le Hunte.
That actually was my major, and if you remember, just before I finish, so that I always said, and I use the phrase, the process is just as important as the end result. When that decision didn't, I also said, well, you know, that's the end of that. I mean, I respected the party's position and I moved on.
Mr. Le Hunte, stick up in right there. In terms of that process that you referred to and how it should have gone, as opposed to the process that just took place a couple weeks ago or last week, where a new chairman and vice chairman were selected by the General Council. Shouldn't that too have also gone to the general membership? Don't you think that the PNM is better suited now to just call the internal elections, open up all the positions for election, and let the party membership have their say?
And when that, I agree 100%, and that is the process that I would like to see happen. To have a convention or annual convention, right, requires to have a voting process. There is a procedure within the PNM for that to happen. You have to, that is a group of people that needs to organize an internal election. You have to get ballots, you have to mobilize your party. So a convention takes about 1 or 2 months to prepare for, decide an election like that. And the process within the PNM is that the leadership make a recommendation to and organizes it to the General Council. What has happened? The PNM has called has put in place an expanded leadership because you had 3 people in the leadership after all the resignations. We now have 5 people. The leadership, as I understand, they were elected last week. They will be meeting this week. The first order of business is to select a date for the convention. Then put a team together to plan the convention, and at the convention, all the positions, right, will now become vacant. And exactly as I've always said, the membership should decide who they would like to see as their leaders. And that is what will happen, I will expect, in short order. So the people who were elected as chairman and vice chairman were interim positions for the short term to allow for the process of the PNM to be put in place. I think that is organization par excellence. That is not imploded.
Let me get this elephant out of the room one time, because there's a school of thought that, and it's not coming from me, it's coming from various commenters where I've engaged in discussions, that the same people who are in fact calling on Dr. Rowley or criticizing Dr. Rowley, are people who he in fact created. And it's almost like if he looked for it, because he would have, Robert Le Hunte is a creature of Dr. Rowley coming back from Ghana to be a minister. Foster Cummins is a creature of Dr. Rowley in terms of elevating in the party and in ministry. Dr. Amory Brown is a creature of Dr. Rowley because he was a team that Manningite back then, and Dr. Rowley brought him back. Penelope Beckett also went up against Dr. Rowley, and still he kept her in the cabinet and so on. How would you respond to something like that, where people are talking?
Well, let me start. People, you need to ask that question to the various individuals. Let me say that I've been a PNM member for 35 years. I've served in over 6 constituencies at the executive level. Wherever I've gone in my life, I was chairman of Faizabad, San Fernando West, coordinator for St. Joseph, coordinator for Talparo in Tobago, etc. All right? I have served as an alderman in the San Fernando City Corporation in 1984, when the PNM was in opposition, or around that time. Sorry, if I can't remember the exact date. So I'm saying this idea that Dr. Rowley created me, that's a myth. I didn't ask to be created. I never applied to be the job of a minister. I was a PNM member with talents. I left my executive position to offer my service to Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Rowley reached out to me, a person in the party with talent, and came out to serve. That's one. That's one position as it relates to me. This idea that once somebody created you, you are loyal to them for life. Well, I think that's a concept that you cannot agree with. And if we have that, then we need a dictator. All right?
No, I don't agree with it. I'm just...
Loyalty is important, right? And believe it, coming from the African tradition and living 7 years in Ghana, I understand the importance of loyalty. But I also said that blind loyalty is something that you will not, it is not good for any organization.
But you left as a cabinet minister under a cloud of it seemed animosity. I mean, people, gave me the usual talking points. I have this to do, I have that to do. But it was always an issue of what actually happened in that cabinet, but why you left.
And loyalty to me, and if you notice what was my statement when I left the cabinet under the cloud, not cloud. I resigned and I said it was there were professional differences. I left. I continue to be a PNM and continue to be a PNM today. I think whatever happens in cabinet is cabinet. We have taken an oath of secrecy, and the conversations that we had in cabinet, who wants to break those positions, they are free to. I have never one day stood up or had an interview and say why I was leaving. And I said Dr. Rowley was the one that brought me, and I tendered my resignation to Dr. Rowley as the political leader. So there is nothing about loyalty. As a person, we are professionals. I felt a certain way based on certain directions, and I got certain instructions which I didn't feel comfortable to execute. And therefore, what I did is that I then left. I never made an issue, or as you said, up to today, you still cannot understand or say why I left. So loyalty is important. However, I think, as I said, blind loyalty for any organization is not good. And remember, what was my position? My position was simply, which by the way, was borne out with 100 and something thousand votes, and people expressing it now openly that we should have gone back, and they didn't feel part of the process. That was the sentiment that was coming to me from the membership. And I was trying to tell Dr. Rowley that this is the process. It didn't matter who came out of the process, but we need to follow the process in ensuring that we keep our members engaged. Now,
part of just to interrupt you, part of what you're saying there goes to the leadership style of Dr. Rowley. And a lot of people always say, when we discuss it with politicians, they say, Dr. Rowley's style, they kind of phrase it in that kind of sentence. And Wendell can hear me out.
They're excusing it.
In your personal opinion, Mr. Le Hunte, did you consider, or do you consider Dr. Rowley to have been a good leader?
I think Dr. Rowley's style of leadership, right, was not the best style of leadership for Trinidad and Tobago. I think Dr. Rowley was a very visionary person. I think Dr. Rowley had certain leadership traits, and I'm on record of saying that I think if some of the projects that Dr. Rowley would have transformational projects that he would have liked for Trinidad and Tobago to happen, had happened, Trinidad and Tobago would have been a very beautiful place and a very safe place and a very economically secure place today. So I give Dr. Rowley's credit for his transformational, visionary type leadership from an ideas. I think Dr. Rowley had some challenges in executing, and I think Dr. Rowley also, and that to me centered around some of the people that he had with him. And I think Dr. Rowley's style, confrontational style, as a leader that needed the opposition to change some of the issues and collaboration to move Trinidad forward was not one that meshed right at all times with the people.
Were cabinet members intimidated by Dr. Rowley when you had cabinet meetings?
Well, I was not. When I was a member of cabinet, I think Dr. Rowley's style worked for some people and didn't work for some people.
Oh, come on. You keep using this, using the English language in a kind of, roundabout way.
No, wait a minute. Wait. You're asking questions. And I mean, listen, you are asking me, did Dr. Rowley's style intimidate me? But
no, cabinet members. I didn't say you.
No, but I could speak for me. I think that's a question that other cabinet members, I will not venture as a professional, all right, and as a former bank executive in assuming what other people believe. Dr. Rowley's style that you see, all I would say is Dr. Rowley's style that you see him portray, right, is exactly how, that is Dr. Rowley. That is not a fake style. That is how Dr. Rowley runs.
Mrs. Robinson, Beckers Robinson said the exact same words, that Dr. Rowley is Dr. Rowley. He can't change. He's always been that way. She said that.
Yes, and therefore, if some people felt intimidated by it or not, I think that's a question you'll have to ask them. I don't know. I wasn't intimidated. I stood up. I said what I have to say. And when I felt you wanted me to do something that I did not agree to, then what do you do as a professional? You offered me a job.
But Mr. Le Hunte, you're not bound by
sorry, Wendell. Sorry, Wendell.
Say what it is,
Yeah, sorry, Wendell. Let me just ask it in a different way. You are a leader in your own right, Mr. Le Hunte. And leaders are perceptive of rooms. They read rooms all the time. That's what you have to do as a leader. So you must have a perception of whether you felt some people were being intimidated or not. So did you have that perception that some people were feeling intimidated by the style of Dr. Rowley?
I think Dr. Rowley's style, if I would venture and say, I think Dr. Rowley, I am one that believes in building teams. Teamwork is important. And in any organization, team together each achieve more. And you get more out of an organization rather than one person or two people, but you get better if you have 15, 20 people working together as a team. I think Dr. Rowley's style was not, when I was around, it might have changed or not, was not one that built teams, right? It was not one that brought everybody in and built team, and he worked in that manner to facilitate the type of teamwork. That's as far as my observation. As I said, whether or not Dr. Rowley never intimidated me, but I'm not sure that leadership style was the best one for the country in bringing a country together, a confrontation.
You know what? You're giving me work to read through your words there. But
was he a micromanager? Did he micromanage ministries?
No,
or he left ministers to do what
he was definitely not a micromanager.
That's what I've heard.
Definitely not a micromanager. When he gave you assignments, he left you to do what it is that you have to do. He was never a micromanager. Some people might believe in some cases they would have briefed. So if you are a person who is working with Dr. Rowley and you like to be able to interact and bounce ideas off my leader, let's assume that is who you are. Then you will find great difficulty in working with Dr. Rowley because at the point in time, he is one that gives you and expects you to do. So you might not be fulfilled at that point in time because of your own leadership style. Now, one could say that a good leader should be flexible in that he should understand his different, what each one of his members want and be in a position to adjust to be able to give each member what they wanted. That was not also Dr. Rowley's style. So at the end of the day, I mean, to me, we keep talking about Dr. Rowley. Dr. Rowley is gone. Dr. Rowley has moved on. I think whether or not how his style was, whether it was right, wrong, or not, I think that's past. I think what we're talking about now is how do we go forward as a country, right? I think Mrs. Prasad Biswas, our Prime Minister, have recognized that our treasury is a little bit more empty. Yes, I hear us talking about utilizing some money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. That's important. That might have to be done. Bills need to be paid, right? So if that is the judgment that needs to happen, so be it. However, as you know, as an individual, you cannot continue utilizing your savings. You have to start to move the real business of Trinidad and Tobago is how do we continue moving forward as a country in the medium term and the short term. I think that's important. I think the second thing, a country needs a good opposition, right? We need to have a good opposition. The PNM is an institution, and the PNM needs to be there and around for a long period. The PNM has put certain things in place, and like you, Wendell, I agree, and I think it is the direction that they're going, that we should have a leadership convention ASAP. I would recommend within 3 months at maximum. And with that, every position that within the executive should come up and the people should decide, which is, and that convention will generate the enthusiasm in the members. The members will make a decision and the PNM will move forward with a new chairman, a new vice chairman, right? A new political leader, and the party will go forward.
That's what I think is best right now.
Yes,
because this is the
Are you on the short list to be an opposition senator?
I think that question we better pose to Mrs. Beckles. I don't know what is her short list.
If you are offered the senatorship, will you take it?
That is something I will probably consider. I have other challenges. I have other things that I have on my plate that I'm doing, and that is something that will require some bit of adjustments. But we'll cross that bridge if it happens, and if I have to do it, I will have. I am not 100% sure at this point in time because of the certain commitments that I continue to make in my capacity as a financial advisor.
Because Mrs. Beckles-Robinson will need a group of people who supports her at this point in time, especially in the Senate, as limited as the appointments are. And you certainly have been at the forefront of that support. So I don't think anybody will quarrel with Robert Le Hunte if he's an opposition senator.
I mean, and I am honored to that people. A lot of people have called me and they pose that type of confidence in my ability and so forth. But again, for life goes on, right? Life moves on. As an individual, I have taken a year off, right, out of my last assignment at the IDB. That year comes to an end on June the 30th. My wife has instructed me that I need to go back to work.
you have a Ghanaian wife, eh?
Right? So,
I hear the word instruct coming there.
I would have had to make certain adjustments and certain decisions now coming into this year. So we are all flexible in life. But I think what I'm saying, that is where we need to focus. The concept of imploding, no. I have heard rumors about this one should resign, that one should resign. The truth of the matter is, if the whole executive resigns, then you are creating a vacuum and more what is called more mayhem. Because if the executive resigns, then you can't get your ultimate objective of having a leadership convention. And you can't, not a leadership convention, a convention which will allow for all the members of the PNM, right, to have a say. And if you understand where I have always spoken, my thing with the last leadership, right, is that we should try to get the membership involved in the process. And I think they are moving quickly. I am not seeing anyone grabbing for power. Colm Imbert came out and said, listen, I am here in the interim to take you to a convention, to use my expertise to take you there. I am not seeking election for any office. I think that was clear.
Oh, he said that?
And yes, he said that.
I didn't hear that.
He said that openly at the meeting, and it was reported in the papers the next day, that he will not be seeking election. He will not be seeking an office in the upcoming election. And I think, again, without telling tales out of school, I'm not, but from what tongue say, the leadership was elected last week. The leadership will be meeting this week. The item on the agenda, setting a date for convention, putting an election committee in place, and also putting an organizing committee for the convention, setting a date for the election, and setting a date to receive the results. That is how an organized and a structured party operates.
Yeah. If I remember, Mr. Le Hunte, in 2010, a pretty similar thing happened. The leadership resigned, but the general secretary at the time, who was Martin Joseph, held on just long enough to ensure that the convention took place. And at that time, it was delegate voting, of course. But he held on, and immediately following that, he also resigned, if I remember carefully.
Yeah, and I think I would suspect that even though Mr. Cummings and others have different times, the PNM operates. Some people get elected for 4 years, some people get elected for 6 years. You're having a convention. This happens now, people resign. So theoretically, this is in the midterm, right? Not every one position, but I would suspect and I would advocate that everybody should probably put themselves forward for the membership to make a decision. And when the membership makes a decision, I think we will continue to have a strong party. Yeah. So this concept that you're supposed to remain loyal to someone, loyalty, there is nobody. I am very loyal as a person to Dr. Rowley. If Dr. Rowley asks me on a personal capacity to do anything, and I'm very grateful for the ability that I've been given by Dr. Rowley to serve Trinidad and Tobago, right? But at the end of the day, I'm also grateful, and I also recognize my responsibility as a party member. And my party member's responsibility is also to pass the information from the ground to the leadership, not just to take what the leadership is saying. And that's the role of a party member. Remember the last time we spoke, I talked about the organs of the party, but the people within the organs of the party must be able to execute their responsibilities. And clearly, if as part of the postmortem, for the amount of individuals to stay away from your base, it clearly sends a signal that you will not, because you were not getting that information for them, that they were unhappy. So the organs of the party. So when people talk about passing blame, I am one who do not only blame, but I don't blame Dr. Rowe. I blame the leadership team or anyone else. I think the members, all members of the party, who allow the party to go into an election and stay quietly being loyal and saying, well, if Dr. Rowley say, then we have to go. I think it's important as a member, exactly what happened, that information, that swell of disapproval, or that swell of what people are saying they felt left out, and all of that, that should have been communicated upwards and then given to the leadership to help them make a proper decision.
But Mr. Le Hunte, I would be.
I hear you. Yeah. I hear you, and I hear all of that, and all of that has been part of the post-mortem of this election, which revealed those results that 102,000 people did not vote for the PNM, or they lost 102,000 votes. But moving into an internal election, you have several competing claims, which is what you would have in a democracy anyway. But you have the Stuart Young faction that must be disappointed and maybe a little angry that he's not the opposition leader. You have Foster Cummings, who was aspirational to leadership. At least you got the sense that he was aspirational to leadership, and he has been touted as one of the rising stars over the years in the PNM to the position of leader. And of course, you have Penelope Beckles-Robinson, who is now the opposition leader, obviously will be vying for the post of political leader. And then you have Con Imber, who's saying, well, he's not going up. But he would have had aspirations in his time that obviously now sees that as a closing window. in terms of the only time he ever would have been prime minister was as an acting position, but he would have had his own aspirations to that position. How do you think that in the internal elections, how do you think it's going to all play out? You think that obviously Penelope Beckles-Robinson is going to go up for political leader? That just makes sense. Do you think that
hopefully unopposed?
Yeah. Do you think that she's going to be unopposed, or do you think some of it is going to rise up at that point in terms of vying for that leadership position?
And similarly to when Penelope Beckles went up against Dr. Rowley, I didn't see that as disloyalty. I didn't see that as not being a loyal person, right? And I also think it would be dangerous in any organization for Penelope Beckles to go unopposed unless people truly do not want to participate. I mean, if you join a political party for a reason. You didn't join the JCs, you didn't join the Lions, you didn't join the Rotary. You joined up, and people who join political parties or put themselves up for office, they have intentions, right, of leadership. And that's fine. And therefore, I would be disappointed, and I would not see it, however, as disloyalty for people to put themselves up as leader. Dr. Rowley challenged Mr. Manning at all fronts, right? When he was the leader, it was not deemed disloyalty then. Penelope Beckles doing it, it is not disloyalty. And now I don't think that Mrs. Beckles, knowing her style, will expect somebody who challenge her as disloyal. That is your right as a party member. That is your right to go out and mobilize. And I think it's good for the democracy of the party. And I will therefore expect any one of those. I think Mr. Young should put himself up if he feels that he has the time and he wants to be opposition leader and he wants to have a political future in the PNM. Put yourself up and do the work.
Well, wouldn't that mean, Mr. Le Hunte, that if let's say if Stuart Young takes that advice, because I mean he did sit as prime minister of the country at one time, right? Let's say if he goes up for political leader, wins, do you expect then that the support will shift from Penelope Beckles-Robinson to Stuart Young in the parliament to make him opposition leader?
Well, I think at the end of the day, right, I think the PNM, whoever wins the political leadership of the PNM is a very strong. Dr. Rowley attempted to separate and have this convoluted process. I would think if you go to a convention and your membership votes for you as the political leader of the party, they will expect you to be leading the party by not only taking control of the internal function, but we are a political party and will be taking control of the leadership of the opposition and all the parliamentary arms of the party. And therefore, the PNM, as is customary, I think whoever wins, the PNM is a disciplined party to the extent that they follow the directives of the leader. We have one leader, right? So at that point in time, I am not the individuals to vote, but I will expect whoever wins the job as political leader will now be in charge of a unified party. And it will be the person's leadership style and the people, and I would like to probably ask anyone who is going up as political leader to pledge their allegiance in some form and support for the rebuilding of the party as a team, because you want strong people around you. The problem with leadership, I remember in my time in management, one of my mentor, Mr. Harford, has always taught me, he said, as a leader, you don't need to know everything, right? But you need to know who knows everything. So pulling together a team is critical in any, and having a team requires strong people, and you need to have different people playing different roles. Right?
Yeah.
Remember,
Well, we have a few minutes left before we close off and close off at 8 a.m. But tell me something, Robert Le Hunte, there's a letter to the editor from Louis Singh that raises the issue of the pension that Stuart Young is receiving. And he is of the opinion that Stuart Young should refuse the pension in terms of how long he was in the position as Prime Minister. I think his thinking is, if I remember the contents of the letter correctly, his thinking is that that pension is linked to a tenure in office that shows a certain level of work ethic, dedication, and esteem in terms of what you would have done as Prime Minister or Chief Justice, etc., etc. And he felt it was an anomaly in the amendment that was made that you could get that pension even though you were just there for a day. What's your take on that?
Well, I wasn't there when that bill for pensions for those individuals was set. But I was part of the conversation in Parliament when we decided to index those individuals' pension to the present salary for those three individuals. Because, so I understand, yes, I think the spirit of that was these individuals have risen to that level, and therefore we need to ensure that they are taken care of in their lives. Right? I have read the letter. I think there's a lot of merit to the letter. I think the consideration and some recommendations were made to Mr. Young, and if I was in his shoes, based on I might have then adhered to the recommendations made. I am not Mr. Young, so I don't know what he will do.
Recommendations from whom? Louis Singh?
There was a recommendation in the same letter that was spoken about. I read the letter.
Well, you're trying to upset me this morning. The Prime Minister already responded to that. The Prime Minister already that they can't change what the SRC has recommended. So Louis Singh didn't hear the Prime Minister speak last week.
Wendell, I know you are. Listen to what I'm saying. Louis Singh, we are talking about not about the salary increases. There was a letter that was written yesterday by Louis Singh, and it spoke about the pension, that whether or not Stuart Young should accept the pension for life.
But
the recommendation that he made was, one, he said that Stuart Young should not. He also recommended that the loophole that facilitated him for the process to allow for it to happen should also be plugged. Let's not kill the messenger, Wendell. I think there is some logic.
He is just being mischievous and divisive again. That's what he's doing. Why are you putting that out there when it's allowed? We already established that the SRC report is final, regardless of who it belongs to. We already established that. We were arguing that the other day. Should the Prime Minister and the parliamentarians rescind that part? We established that it can't be done. What you coming now to talk this nonsense about Stuart Young giving up his pension?
Wendell, Richard, I think you will probably. I think there are two separate things. I think the increases in the salary is one thing, but as I said, I read the letter that was asked, and I think it is a separate issue. So I don't want to. He's just
looking to cause more bacchanal. He's looking to cause more implosion. That's what he's looking to do.
No,
and he is not going to get the satisfaction. That come like me reading some of these stupid comments that people making, slanderous comments that people making on the chat now, giving it life. I will give Louis Singh absolutely no life, not on this breakfast show.
All right, okay, Richard. So then you asked me. You brought a question. You want to give it life. Wendell doesn't. And, but Wendell, let me also say, right, I think Trinidad and Tobago going forward, I think we are a small country. We have a number of individuals, right? We need all hands on deck. I think this concept that we have, when somebody is yellow, they're not good. When somebody red, they're good. When somebody red, they're not good. When somebody yellow, they're not good. I like to take everything on its merit. I think we all need to move this country forward. We have to be a little bit more accommodating to discipline, production, tolerance. Tolerance is one of our watchwords. And there are behaviors that are associated with being tolerant. And I think as a country, we need to exercise some of the behaviors for discipline, for production and tolerance. And I will never, I might have my views about Louis. It differs from you because I think Louis Leasing was a person that contributed as a mayor very well. That's my view.
He was the worst mayor in the history of Port of Spain.
All right. And therefore, again, that's your view. And but we have to all, just like Dr. Rowley, there are people who love him, there are people who don't. And that's fine.
Yeah, but why do you think Stuart Young deserves that kind of attack coming from someone who you claim to be one of the good mayors and one of the contributors? Do you think Stuart Young deserves that? He doesn't. He doesn't deserve that attack.
And you, Wendell, you are free, and just like everyone else. And some people, that's a view, right? That if you think that's fine. But Louis Leasing writing a letter to the editor, and I will tell you, I am on some chats, and there were lots of people, might be, again, this yellow-red structure in Trinidad and Tobago that we have to break down. There were people who felt that what Louis Leasing said made sense. Now, it might not be
I'm not surprised.
View. It might not be everybody's view, but at the end of the day, it is a point of view. It is a point of view that
I think it's a difficult thing legally, because if he's legally entitled to it, he can say simply, "I'm legally entitled to it," and that's it. And that's it.
Anyway, we have to wrap up now, guys. We have the news coming up.
Yeah. But Mr. Le Hunte, thank you so much for joining us. Always good to have the conversation. And I know you'll be back again because there's so many things to discuss. And of course, if you are nominated and accept the position of an opposition senator, we certainly will have you back on.
Senator Le Hunte, he has been there before. He's been called that before.
I have always said that, having office, I am never putting a title before or after my name is not my aspiration in life. To be, I was a minister and I left it because I didn't need the title to be who I was, Robert Le Hunte. Right? So whether I'm senator, whether I'm not senator, whatever I am, I hope that all my views, which are always for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago, will be accepted on this show. So thanks
and
again.
You'll always be admired for that, Mr. Le Hunte. I have to tell you that. You'll always be admired for walking away, regardless. I always admire you for that.
I'm not only walking away, never trying to get into any confrontation or as we say in Ghana, wahala, right? Wahala.
All right, this is where we have to end it. I'm sorry you couldn't take some calls, but that's where we ended. And this morning, as we head to our 8 o'clock news, thank you so much, Mr. Le Hunte. We appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. All right. News time.
Yep. We'll head to the news at this point, a little after 8 o'clock, but I'm sure you'll forgive us. And here we go.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is your news update for Monday, May 12th, 2025. I am Amanda Mitchell with New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has announced there is no evidence to charge suspended Police Commissioner Erla Harewood Christopher with any offense. DPP Roger Gaspard, SC, stated, "There is no realistic prospect of a conviction for the offense of misbehavior in public office or for any offense." Harewood Christopher was arrested in January and subsequently suspended by the Police Service Commission over allegations related to signing off on a firearms import license for 2 sniper rifles. With her term set to end on May 15th, the Commission must now decide whether to lift her suspension. High Court Justice Christopher Suchand is expected to deliver his ruling today in Harewood Christopher's constitutional claim against the Police Service Commission. In a significant development, the Cabinet has revoked the appointment of Arthur Barrington as Director of the Strategic Services Agency. A brief release from the Attorney General's office confirmed the revocation took effect on May 9th. Sources indicate that Deputy Director Roger McLean will act as director for the next 3 months. Barrington, a former head of Special Branch, had only been appointed to the position on April 1st, following the departure of Anthony Phillips Spencer. Nationals of Trinidad and Tobago will now require a visa to travel to Ireland, effective today. Irish Minister for Justice Jim O'Callaghan announced the new requirements on Friday, noting that visa requirements are an effective screening measure to determine who can travel to Ireland. Limited transitional measures will be in place for those with existing travel arrangements before May 31st, under specific emergency circumstances. This follows the UK's March decision, requiring visas for Trinidad and Tobago nationals. Meanwhile, EU Ambassador Peter Cavendish has reminded citizens they can still freely visit Europe under the Schengen visa-free scheme, stating the EU has no visas, no duties, and no tariffs for its relations with Trinidad and Tobago. Police are investigating the murder of 25-year-old Israel Assing, who was found with a gunshot wound to the head in Arima on Saturday night. According to reports, residents of Hoyt Avenue and First Avenue heard explosions around 11 p.m. and discovered Assing's body inside an unfinished concrete structure. Officers from the Pinto police station responded to the scene, where the district medical officer pronounced him dead. A team from the Homicide Bureau Region 2 and the Special Evidence Recovery Unit is assisting with the investigation. You are listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In regional news, Guyana's Vice President Dr. Parat Jagdeo has responded to Trinidad and Tobago's interest in doing energy business with his country. Speaking at a news conference, Jagdeo explained Guyana's plans for its gas reserves, stating, "We need all of the gas there for our electricity generation and the fertilizer plant."
That right now, from the gas to energy project, there is no gas to supply to anyone. We need all of the gas there for power generation and the fertilizer plant. That there is a project that we have not approved as yet that is being explored between Fulcrum, Exxon, and the government of Guyana to develop the gas reserves, that they're exploring several options as to what to do with this gas.
He revealed that Guyana is exploring several options with Fulcrum LNG and ExxonMobil, including developing LNG for export, bringing gas onshore for power generation to sell to Brazil, or using the gas for industrialization in Guyana. Regarding Trinidad and Tobago's interest, Jagdeo said, "If TNT is interested, then the tripartite arrangement, ExxonMobil, Fulcrum LNG, and the government of Guyana would have to examine whether taking the gas to TNT outweighs those other options in terms of financial feasibility." Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal had previously indicated he would make direct contact with his counterparts in Grenada, Guyana, and Suriname regarding potential energy partnerships. That concludes your news update for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio and MNE TV. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
Well, this is where we wrap it up on the Breakfast Show this morning, and this Monday morning, the beginning of the work week. Have a fantastic day wherever you are on planet Earth, throughout the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago, North America, Europe, Africa, wherever you are. Have a fantastic day, and we'll speak to you bright and early tomorrow morning. Remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
And of course,
one more thing. Married and Mischievous is on. And of course, it was so powerful. It survived an earthquake, and nobody moved. Nobody got up to run because the play was more important. And of course, we'll be on at Queen's Hall. We're finally coming to Port of Spain on May 24th, Saturday, May 24th at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday, May 25th at 6:30 p.m. Tickets are on sale on Queen's Hall from today and from all outlets from tomorrow. Get your tickets early. We had fantastic houses at over 2 weekends in Cipriani College. You should not miss it. It's not just a play, it's an experience. Adults only.
All right, folks. Thanks for being with us once again today. We will discuss that Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago oil and gas situation, because a comment came from Vice President of Guyana recently that kind of has gone viral also. So maybe we'll get into that later in the week again. I thought we were done with energy. Bam! More bacchanal come up. Anyway, remember, one life. Live it. Guys,
and before you guys go,
later, right?
Yeah. So before you guys go, let me just let people who are locked on know that even though the YouTube feed stops at this point in time, they can still get us on our website at www.newerattradio.com. You can also pick us up on TuneIn, and a little later on, you'll get back the YouTube feed because we have Tony Fraser coming inside of the afternoon drive between 4 and 6 p.m., where we have more discussions coming your way.
Yep, and some great discussions.
Like,
actually.
share, and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. It's very important to like and subscribe. Even people watching us on M&E TV or listening to us on TuneIn or even via smart devices, go to the YouTube channel and like and subscribe. It's important. Trust us on this. Of course, our goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers, and we are going to get there. So have a fantastic day. This has been Wendell.
Replay on M&E TV at 2 p.m. today. All right? This has been The Breakfast Show.
Yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned.